Hey, guess what? This is my lazy vlog. I'm right now in the middle of an open casting call for my web series. Link in the place where links generally are and all the information about my web series and the Indiegogo campaign. And hey, consider donating to the Indiegogo campaign to make the web series as epic as it can possibly be. But in the meantime, I still have 2 roles that I need to fill in the cast, and so I'm doing an open casting call. And I've had in recent times, I've had some people ask me about how to do that. So I'm going to talk about how to audition for an acting role. So first of all, you don't really need an agent. You can do this on your own if this is something that you want to do. There are websites. I'm using for my casting call a website called backstage.com, and there are a few others like that, like lacasting.com is another good one. And you can go onto these sites and you can make your own profile, put your headshot, your resume, your video demo reels, whatever you got. You can make your profile. Then you can just search and you can see open casting calls, and you just have access to that stuff. Now, granted, having an agent has access to to casting calls that not everybody has access to. So there's that, but you don't really need to worry about that, because if you're at a place in your career where you have an agent looking for casting calls for you, then you probably already know this stuff. For everyone else, if you don't have that agent, then don't worry about that. Just start looking for the ones that you do have access to, because there's plenty there. Like right now, if you went to backstage.com and you searched for recent casting calls, you would probably see mine, because I just put it up yesterday. So mine is right there, and it's not an agent-only one. It's open to anybody who can see it. So you find the project that has open roles, and you read about it, and you find a character that you think is just you're perfect for. So you can click a button, and you can basically send them a message saying, basically submitting your profile for their consideration for their role. Now, the way that I have myself and a couple of producers helping me cast for this web series, and the way that we have chosen to do it is video auditions online. Now, that's perfectly a good way to do it, and it definitely there's pros and cons to doing that or doing in-person auditions. There's pluses and minuses, but we're doing video auditions. So what that means is we're going to look at your profile, and we're going to determine if we think that based on your profile that you might be good enough for our, not good enough, that's not the right word I want to use. You might be a good fit for our role. And then, so in that case, we're going to contact you. Now, keep in mind, it's not personal. This is by far the most impersonal thing there. We're looking for certain things that our role calls for, and if we don't contact you, then it's not like, you know, you're not doing anything wrong. Keep going, because there's going to be ones that you're good for. It's just we're looking for specific things for our open roles. Now, I'll tell you this much. If you have a demo reel on your profile, that makes all the difference. That makes a big difference, because while a good headshot is great, and it definitely helps and tells us a lot about who you are, I, as the director, and my producers, a good headshot does not tell us everything we need to know about you. We need to hear how you talk. We need to hear your voice. We need to hear like your mannerisms. We need to see how well you can read a line. We need to actually see you move and hear you speak and see your acting. There are telltale signs for an actor on whether or not they can, you know, read a line believably. Like, for example, don't shrug. If you're talking, don't shrug in the middle of your sentence. Do you shrug in real life? Probably not. So don't, you know, a lot of people, like I see this, and I've seen this before, and I've done this before, and this is how I know. Keep in mind, I've been on both sides of this little coin. I've done casting calls and made the casting decisions, and I've submitted to casting calls and auditioned for things. So, so I've seen this and I've done this and I've noticed that I do it, and because I know that I do it, I avoid doing it. If you're talking, don't ever shrug, because Shrugging like this is kind of a sign that mentally you're not in the character. You're not devoted to the character. You're just kind of like, this isn't who I am, but I'm expected to say this, so I'm going to say it. You don't shrug in real life. Don't do it when you're reading a role. There are telltale signs like that that separate you in not a good way. But so all that aside, I can't tell if you do that based on just your headshot. So, having a demo reel, and now the thing about a demo reel, we're looking, like I said, to hear you speak, to see your mannerisms, how well you can read. It doesn't matter the quality. You can film it on your phone. We just need to see you. It doesn't matter whether you have footage from a big, expensive, high-budget thing or you filmed it on your phone. It doesn't matter. I just need to see you as an actor and determine, based on what I can see and hear of you, whether you're a good fit for my role. Now, okay, all that aside, I could go on about that. I'm talking about auditions. So I'm going to contact you and I'm going to say, hey, I'd like to consider you for this role. Here is a few pages of my script, some sides for you to read. It might be pages from the script. It might be a scene that was just written specifically for the audition because I didn't want to give. There are many reasons why that might happen, but aside from that, I'm going to send you some pages of a script for you to read. Can you film yourself reading from this script and send me back the video? So here's and that's a perfectly great way to do it. I'm not the only one that does that. A lot of people do it, and it's very helpful. So what you do, if it's a two-person scene or multiple people scene, then if it's a dialogue scene, then get somebody to read with you. Don't just stand there, read the line, and then have silence, and then read the next line. You need somebody to read off of you for timing. And then basically you want to get a camera of some kind, phone, doesn't matter. And we need good lighting that we can see your face. We need good sound that we can hear your voice. And start the video, hello, my name is such and such, and I'm auditioning for the role of such and such. And then just go through the scene. You will have had in the casting call, there should be a description of the character that you are auditioning for. So what you want to do is look at that description and do everything that you can to put yourself into that role based on that description. Because what myself and my producers and the casting director and everybody, what we're looking to see is how well you can interpret that description of the character. We want to see what you can do with it. So put yourself in that role as much as you can. Like if the role describes something that's a drama, don't get up there and be all comical. If the role describes something that's a comedy, don't get up there and be all dramatic. Look at the description of the role, look at the description of the project, and put yourself in the role as best as you can, and then read through the scene. And at the end, thank you for your consideration, something courteous like that, and then that's it. That's all there needs to do. It helps if you can memorize it, but it's not necessary. If I have somebody who's looking down at their script and not looking at the camera, then that's a bit of a put off. If you can't memorize it, that's fine, but try to look not down all the time. I don't want to see the top of your head. I want to see your face. I want to see, your eyes. I want to see you. I don't want to see the top of your head as you're looking down at your script, reading it, Show some enthusiasm, show that you're excited. Obviously you're excited, but show it. Don't just, stand there and monotone. Because if I'm going to be looking at you thinking that this is how the role is going to be if I cast you, and if you just stand there and dry monotone read it, then I'm going to think that's how the character will be, and that might not be what I'm looking for the character. So, perform it as close to as the description says. Now, and then definitely once you've sent the audition and you've done all that and you sent them the video, kind of leave it at that. They see it. They will, there's multiple people, especially in my case, there's 3 or 4 people, and there's usually multiple people that are looking at these. So they see it, and they're considering, and they're making their decisions, and they're taking whatever process they have to take. So what you don't want to do is bug them. You don't want to send them another email every day. You just let them make the decision. Don't keep bugging them. Don't be like, hey, I sent you an audition, just wanting to hear back from you, just checking in if you got it. They got it. If you followed the instructions that you were given, they got it. Just let them make their choice. And then another thing in the when you contact them and you submit your profile for consideration, there is on Backstage at least, and I'll put a link in the place where links generally are so you can see what my casting call looks like on Backstage.com. On Backstage, when you submit, there is an option to do a cover letter, a little paragraph or two addressing the casting director or whatever, a cover letter with it, which is, it's not necessary. I've been on both sides of this coin. I've as the actor doing auditions, I'm looking at dozens and dozens of casting calls, and it can be kind of difficult to read them all and send a specific cover letter to them all. You're an actor. You want the role because you're an actor. That's what actors do. You don't need to describe why you want the role. However, I get that because I've been on both sides of the coin. Not every director, not every casting director gets that. So it does help to do a cover letter. I've had the case where I've looked at the profile, I've looked at the video, I've looked at everything, and I might not have thought that based on the pictures or what's there that I want to consider them. But then there was a cover letter, and something they said in the cover letter makes me want to consider them. I've had that happen before. So having a cover letter does help, but it is not necessary. And if you don't do it, it doesn't look bad. It just, if you do it, it makes you look a little bit better, a little bit more professional. But it's understandable because there's a lot of casting calls and you want the role because you're an actor, and that's what actors do. So keep that in mind. And I've talked about this now for 12 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and go. Yeah, check out my web series, check out my Indiegogo campaign, and hopefully, you know, I said something that is helpful to somebody somewhere. And hey, guess what? This was my lazy vlog.